Hey everyone, I'm Sarah Capewell Rive. I'm an multi-award winning international business, marketing, and self-empowerment coach, and I'm here today to speak to you about something that's quite controversial because I don't believe, contrary to belief, that confidence comes from taking action. In the 20 years I've been in business, for me, and the clients I work with, I personally find that confidence comes when we start to understand, acknowledge, and accept ourselves. Now, you might be wondering why I believe that, and I'll tell you why now. I spent a lot of time in business doing the fake it till you make it. Everyone thought I had confidence, not in just in what I was doing, but in myself. The truth of the matter is, I had no confidence. It was on the floor, and my anxiety was through the roof to a point where it made me really, really sick. And as a result, I developed autoimmune issues. As my body started to shut down, I also lost my home. I lost everything, and I was in a really dark place. And then I got offered the opportunity to start all over again. What I didn't realize is that it was going to highlight every single insecurity I had. And it would take me so long to get off the starting block as a coach that I really needed to do some work. I needed to find a different way. And I've always been known for doing things back to front. But that has now gone from being an obstacle to being one of my superpowers. And it's a superpower that I pass on to clients and on platforms like these on a daily basis. So, 2 years ago, as I said, I lost everything. I gave away three businesses. Sorry, I gave away two businesses and shut down a third and started on a whole new journey. Now, when I went on that journey, I felt like I didn't know myself anymore. I'd lost my identity. I kept trying to do things how everybody else did them, and nothing felt right. I couldn't be confident in anything I was doing because it didn't feel like me. And I didn't have the confidence to just be myself. Then I went into self mastery. And at the time, I'd lost my physical voice. I lost my physical voice for 8 weeks. And as I started speaking my truth, working through my story, a lot was uncovered because not only was my voice starting to come back in little snippets, I started to realize every single block I had had in business and in life, it was all there in front of me. Now, the following 6 to 12 months, I started really analyzing these things. And as I started to unpick each one of the negative thought patterns, the limiting beliefs I had about myself, I started to realize that they weren't things that were naturally came from me. There was conditioning, it was from bullying, it's from being born into a family where my mum was an addict and my dad wasn't around, being raised as a white child, but having mixed race heritage, and really not knowing where I belonged. And as a result, I didn't know who I was and what I stood for and what I wanted. I listened to everybody around me. And this constant battle within me had created no space for me to gain any self esteem, any self confidence. It was to my detriment. And the more I pushed, the more I challenged myself to do it through the fear, to take action more consistently. The more I stumbled, the more I felt like I'd failed. And obviously, if you've been there in that space, you'll know that that then hinders you moving forward even more. So I stopped. I stopped and I worked on me. I started to unpick all of the things I thought about myself. And as I started to get stronger, I started to look at really what it was I wanted. not what my coach wanted me to do, not what my success sisters thought I should do, not what the business gurus was telling me to do. I came back to me and I got honest, raw and honest with myself. And I asked myself, what is it that I want for my life? What is it that I want for my business? And how do I want to do it? And as soon as I did that, things changed. I started to realize there was power in using my voice, and that maybe my voice had been taken because I hadn't been using it in the way I could use it. Had a big mission. Those that know me know that my business mission is to empower women to be independent and financially independent and live their dreams and have freedom and choice and all of the incredible things. But those who know me on a personal level know that I have a bigger mission than that. And that because I grew up in an environment where gang crime was the everyday norm for me, I've been afforded opportunities in my life that have allowed me to live a completely different life. And with that in mind, I want to step into spaces where I can essentially stop gang recruitment, give kids and their parents skills and help them develop skill sets that give them choice. Now, I'll come back to the confidence issue. This is where my self-empowerment element of my business came from. This is how my framework was formed. So the first part of it is looking and being really honest with yourself about what it is you want, what it is you need, and we can get those mixed up sometimes. So it's not a 5 minute quick jobby. I want you to think outside the box. Think of all the things that everyone said you could never do, that you wasn't capable of. And ask yourself, do you still want to achieve those things? Because nothing is unobtainable. You just have to find your own blueprint, your own way of doing things. And the second thing, as I mentioned earlier, it's those thought patterns that you have about yourself. For me, I was never born with what I felt was femininity, feminine features. My skin tone was really light for being a mixed race child, but really dark for being a white child, or growing up in a predominantly white family. I didn't have the prettiest face. I wasn't the skinny child. So I had to overcome on the surface level of being able to accept how I looked, start to love myself and find tools that enabled me to start to build my self-esteem, see my own value, see my own worth. And that's just on surface level. But deeper than that, I found that a lot of the things I thought about myself, I was shaming myself over things that weren't my choice. And really, really sensitive topic. So I'm not going to go fully into it, but as the survivor of abuse and different forms of abuse, it's very easy to carry that shame. And when I started to accept that it didn't define me, it wasn't my fault, it wasn't my choice. And in in my framework, if you like, it's broken down in a way that is so easy to look at because you look at, is it something that you control? Is it something you want to change? Is it something that somebody else has put in your mind as a child or during adolescence, early adulthood? And then you get to choose what you hold on to and what you let go of. And what I found I started doing this was that not only was I seeing myself in a different light, I was feeling more confident in dressing more feminine. I started to use my voice more. I started a podcast and a membership. I was networking with women all over the world, creating unique platforms in themselves to inspire and uplift the very women I want to help. I started to love myself for the first time in my life. And we've been able to do that. I was developing this natural confidence, this My business is called Unstoppable in Business, but it's this unstoppable confidence that I'd never had before. And the third element to really solidify that I come back to every time that confidence might waver a little bit was my values. What was it I stood for? My core values, my business values. What are those cards that I got told all them years ago? You're too sensitive. You you challenge everybody. But actually, I have a big, massive injustice card, and I'm heart-led. They're no longer my weaknesses, but my superpowers. They're what make me unique and allow me to do the things I do now. Coming on platforms like this, speaking globally, helping women and men and children all across the world. And that is more powerful than I could have ever dreamed of. And I no longer do it with these limiting beliefs and the self-doubt. I'm not faking it till you make it. I'm stepping in a way that's real, completely me, authentic, feels good, feels exciting. It doesn't deplete me, it energizes me. So I'm hoping that if anything that you can take from this is that sometimes taking action without doing these things first is more of a fake it till you make it. And if you're finding that you're pushing through the fear and then you're starting to procrastinate, or it just doesn't feel good, just something doesn't feel right, I want you to stop a minute and take a moment to really think about what it is that you're doing. Does it feel good to you? Because if it doesn't, then it's probably not aligned. It may be aligned, but you might be doing it in a way that doesn't serve you. I hope that 15 minutes isn't a long time to go through such a big topic. But I'm hoping that what I've brought today is the knowledge that you're not alone. You don't have to do everything the same way everyone else does. And that you're free to do things completely your own way. Give yourself permission. You can take advice from the people, of course, but true confidence comes from when you know yourself, acknowledge your needs and your wants, accept yourself, and have the clarity and the confidence to just move forward and believe in what you're doing. Self-trust is more powerful than anything else in my world. Because if we can't trust ourselves, then who can we trust? I hope today has helped. And if anybody would like any support in exploring this a little bit further, or access to the free resources to help you explore it further, please reach out, because my mission is bigger for me and more important for me than anything else. I never want anyone to feel like there's no hope, there's no light at the end of the tunnel, that they just can't do it because they're not confident enough. Let's find a way of finding your confidence, your self-trust, and your clarity so that everything you do feels powerful, feels impactful, and feels joyous. Because life's too short, and you owe it to yourself and your family and to those around you to be the happiest, most authentic version of yourself. Thank you for staying today. And as I said, reach out if you have any questions. Thank you for having me, and lots of love to you all. Take care, guys.